Right. We're back again on the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia. And whether it's a thing, right? Whether you party or you watch a lot of cricket, there's always a hangover the next day. The India South Africa ODI series might be done and dusted, but we have a lot to talk about that a bit more. So let's get into it. But before that, let's have a look at the FXR one.
You're late.
Don't just live life, maxify it.
Right, back again on the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia. The India South Africa ODI series went in South Africa's favor, 4-1 win for them. We'll get down to the dissection, point by point dissection. 5 points is what we have. And I have with me Claire Cowan and Boria Majumdar. Let's get into it. The first one, the chase sequence. Boria, it's been that kind of series, isn't it? Teams batting second, chasing, are winning the match irrespective of the scores on the board. You're on mute.
Absolutely, you're right. It will change with the T20s because of the timing. So it will not be early morning start that you put the opposition in and you will win the game. That's not going to happen for both teams. So it will be refreshing to see. But yes, I mean, that was the pattern that we have seen right through the 50-over contest. You started out saying whether it's a party or cricket, there's a hangover. For me, cricket is a party. Why does Claire look so happy today? Because she partied yesterday. So that's the whole deal. You and I look a little dejected because we did not party. I mean, cricket did not allow us to party. So the moment cricket is the garnish, it is the party. I mean, the aroma of food, the aroma of chocolate, if an Indian team wins, whether it is wine or champagne for you or chocolate for me as a teetotaler, doesn't matter. It's a party nonetheless. So South Africa partied. That's why Claire Cowan is so happy today, putting on a couple of kilos to and she deserves to. I mean, unlike us, she's sort of a supremely fit athlete. So she deserves her share of the party because of the South African 4-1 win.
Trust a Bengali to bring up sweets at some point of the conversation. Claire, win the toss, win the match, was that actually the theme of the series? Because on the outside it wasn't, but it really seemed so, wasn't it?
Sorry, yeah, thank you. I think it was generally the fact that it was such an early start. We saw the sort of just the pitch being a little bit more favorable to chasing and batting on it in the latter half of the innings. So I think that had a big role to play in the decision for most of the teams to look to bowl first. Excuse me, sorry. I went back to, and I gave it some thought to the Pakistan series. And it was really interesting because if you remember what South Africa, or what I should say, what Pakistan did in the ODI series, because Sunay List couldn't win a toss for anything. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to any casino with her. I wouldn't be rolling any dices or playing any luck games with her, because in that Pakistan series, I think she only won the very, very last toss, and that was in the third T20. So Pakistan always had the choice. And Pakistan, funny enough, always bowled first. And we had very many discussions about how we were disappointed with Pakistan's want to bowl first. We said at times, because they were struggling in the series, really try and take South Africa and hit them hard up front and actually win the toss and choose to bat, just to sort of put a bit of pressure on them and get South Africa to think a little bit differently about it. And South Africa were really successful at setting the targets in that situation with Pakistan bowling. And when I was sort of reflecting back on it, and I was like, at times in the fifth ODI, we said, should South Africa not rather look to bat first just to try test it and see how they would perform if they had to set a total rather than having to chase, which we knew they were really successful with. But you look back at that ODI series and they set targets often, and they did reasonably well. Not as well as I think they've batted in the Indian series, but definitely they batted well up front. So it's quite interesting to have a look at that, because I think they were trying to test themselves slightly. And look, obviously the Lucknow pitch helped to chase first. I mean, to chase at the end of the latter half of the innings. So that was in their favor. But it was good to reflect back on it and go, we were relatively successful setting a total. And now tables have turned, and the conditions have suited us, and we've chased really well. But it also goes back to a mindset, making sure that just because the conditions are good, you can still execute your skills, and you can still be strong mentally to chase big targets. And we've seen South Africa 2 targets over 250 that they were successful at chasing down.
Yeah, fair point. That let's move to the second point that we've called bowled over, because there's a perspective to it from which side you look at it. If you are a South African, you are really bowled over by the bowling performance of Shabnim Ismail and Marizan Kaap as well. Claire, it was a collective performance from South Africa with the ball, whereas it was almost a total failure for India, wasn't it?
Sorry, I keep forgetting to put myself off mute. Yeah, I think, look, the South Africans, for me, from a bowling perspective, were really, really successful. I thought it was their weakness, though, overall within the series. So I felt that they allowed India at times to sort of get too many runs. It doesn't matter if India were chasing or if they were setting a target. It didn't matter what India did. I just felt at times South Africa let them get too many runs. That would be my first point. The South African batting has definitely shone through very, very strongly in the series, and they almost relied on it. I don't think that they probably feel as satisfied with their bowling success in the series, predominantly due to too many extras. I think at times we bowled too many wides, and I think we struggled with our lengths. I just felt, especially to Smriti Mandhana, Shubham definitely got her length wrong. She was trying to bowl far too short to Smriti, and Smriti is just fantastic on the back foot. She is so strong off the back foot, and she can play it on the offside and the onside off her back foot. And it was a case of give her the short balls, let her get warmed up. And then, we saw in that 80 that she scored, she just looked fantastic. So I think South Africa as a bowling unit need to go back and just have a look at their lengths, bowling to the Indians. And it can be difficult because you're on those Indian pitches and you kind of want to go short and you want to try and bounce and be aggressive and intimidate. And I thought Shubham especially tried to do that a little bit too much. It is her secret weapon, and she can use it very, very successfully. But it's about setting up the batters and then being able to pull out that delivery that is really quick and short, that's really going to sort of hit you in the neck and that you've got people jumping back the whole time. So I thought that is probably an area that they need to sort of work on and be a little bit more successful at. However, in saying that, we've definitely found a secret in our fifth bowler. And I almost want to say in our sixth bowler. We almost have so many options at our disposal now that it gives the captains going forward. And when I say the captains, because obviously we have Sune at the moment, and Dane we would expect to come back sort of hopefully sooner than later. So they will be licking their lips because they're going to be going, I've got almost 6 or 7 bowling options. So if someone has a bad day at the office, you've got the flexibility to pull someone in and really back them up and support them. And not having to say to someone who's struggling, you have to get through another 10 overs or another 6 overs when you're really struggling to find it.
Right. Let's look at the bowling figures, the leading wicket takers of the series as we throw it to Boria. Boria, 2 bowlers from India with 8 wickets, Jhulan Goswami, Rajeshwari Gaikwad. And then it's South Africa with the maximum a South African has picked is 7. Yet the scoreline says 4-1 South Africa. How do you read it?
That shows that South Africa was the team and India was a group of individuals. That's what it is. And that actually tells you the story. And the moment it becomes 3 or 4 individuals, you will always lose. Muthiah Muralidharan could not have won Sri Lanka. He picked up 800 wickets. How many matches did Sri Lanka win in the 1990s? Did Muthiah Muralidharan win you multiple test matches alone? Can anyone do that? No, you can't. You can't. I mean, Sunil Gavaskar was the greatest. How many test matches did India win under Sunil Gavaskar in the 1970s? You did not. So that is the issue with Jhulan Goswami and Rajeshwari Gaikwad. And it tells you asked her about bowled and, whatever. I think the selectors bowled us, hit wicket. That is the real dismissal of the series. I mean, if you really are an Indian supporter, you have been sort of bowled by your own bowlers. You've been out hit wicket, or you have been out obstructing the field. Whichever one dismissal you want to take, you take. But that's what has been the case. South Africa just pounced on you. Look, you went into a boxing ring and decided to have your hands tied. They came and merrily punched you. You now have scars all over. Now go enjoy yourself.
Oh, enough of wickets and hit wickets, because let's move to the batting and talk about not an open and shut case, because Boria, this wasn't a series where the openers heavily scored. You look at the run scorers chart, there's Lizel Lee, there's Poonam Raut, but then there's only two of South Africa's batters in the top five, which shows that it's not, the runs haven't come from one place, but been evenly distributed.
Absolutely. And that's again something that South Africa will be proud of. Because, number 5, number 6 people have scored. Minion came and scored heavily. Lara Goodall scored. Yesterday, Anika Bosch scored. For India, after Harmanpreet Kaur, it's a black hole. There is no 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, it's all gone. That is a problem. I mean, it's a 50-over contest. And in contemporary cricket, every team is batting deep. India is, with time, batting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest don't know how to bat. I mean, come on. From your wicketkeeper onwards, if no bowler is able to contribute, and that is where you sort of think, even today, I think Shikha Pandey got 35 leading Goa to a victory, right? So, and that is where you think, oh, Lord Almighty, we had an all-rounder who is doing in domestic cricket and we did not include her. So that is a problem. The good part about the Indian batting was Poonam Raut. The good part was Mithali Raj, after so many months, still retains the hunger and looked classy. The good part was Harmanpreet Kaur, that extraordinarily good innings, and she got multiple starts. The disappointing part was the talented Smriti Mandhana not converting more than 1. If it's a 3 out of 5 conversion, I'll take it. If it's a 2 out of 5 conversion, I'll say it's average. But 1 out of 5 conversion from a talent as Smriti, not acceptable. So that's how I will put it. But frankly, if you really want to be competitive and become the best team, you cannot say only 5, 6 people can bat. You can't. Your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yesterday from Dayal and Hemlata onwards was 0, 1, 2, 5. So what is this nonsense? I mean, you cannot do that. Deepti Sharma at least will contribute a 20 and a 30. That is why Deepti Sharma is so important from the Indian standpoint, right? So these are important lessons to be taken from this series. Harleen Deol. In that women's T20 challenge, both contributed with bat and ball. Where on earth is Harleen Deol? I mean, is she not around? Is she injured? What is the deal? So these are players you need to bank on or give opportunities to. So I think in batting, you can still say we've got 2 250s. I'll make it average. If bowling was 3 out of 10, I will say batting was 5.5.
Fair ratings there. And Claire, both teams got 1 individual centurions, all right. But South Africa then got 8 half centuries as opposed to India's 6. The divide is clear there.
Yeah, look, I mean, South Africa's batting for me this series was just absolutely exceptional. I think that the key to it, and Boria has touched on it, that we're kind of batting all the way down to 8. So if you have a look at it, we've got our wicket keeper, and I'm going to speak to 2 wicket keepers, either Trisha Chetty or we saw Sonalo Jutta come in. And she's a really good keeper, and I back her, and I think she can do really, really well going forward into the future, because you look at Trisha Chetty, and she's getting on in age, and so it's important to sort of be getting someone and grooming a couple of wicket keepers that potentially could help and could assist into the future. But I mean, it's a fantastic position to be in. You've got your wicket keeper coming in at 8. Both Trisha Chetty and Sonalo Jutta can bat, and they're useful with the bat in hand. And then number 9 is often Shibnam Ismail. And yes, she's obviously a fast bowler. She's not a batsman by note, but she can really, really, really bat. And we've seen her do an odd 20 or 30 here and there. So I was very, very happy from that perspective. Nadine de Klerk did really, really well. She can bat, and you can see the consistency that she's coming through with. And so yeah, overall, I think South Africa's batting lineup did very, very well.
Yeah, they really did well. Lara Goodall was one of the shining stars of the Proteas this series. Let's move on to the spin tails. And before we get Claire's and Boria's thoughts, let me kind of go with the trend and tell you a Kuti story, because India, when South Africa had come to India in 2019, the third ODI, India was bowled out to 146 on what seemed like a turning track. An easy 147 target. South Africa should have got there, but they were bowled out for 140, and India wrapped up the series. It was a clean sweep, and it was a 6-run win on that occasion. Remember, 9 spinners took wickets for India, and one of them was Jemima Rodriguez. So, and in contrast, this series, it's been something else. Claire, we haven't seen the Indian spinners in action at all.
No, we haven't seen them in action at all. They've been really disappointing from picking up wickets. So they really do need to have a look at that and see what they can do going forward into the future. So that is a massive concern for the Indian spinners. But I think the most important is to touch on the batting and how South Africa's batters handled the spinners, and that was the key to the success of the South Africans against that spin bowling. We saw Mignon du Preez using her feet, and I've mentioned this many times before. She's really very skilled at utilizing sort of the depth of the crease coming out, but even moving laterally, moving from sort of leg stump to off stump. She's been fantastic. And I think you can see that rubbing off against or amongst the other South African batters. And I think they're getting more confidence out of it, that they feel like they can utilize their feet to the spinners. And that upsets, obviously, the spinners' rhythm. They're having to change sort of their lengths the whole time. And the other interesting thing that I was really happy about it is we saw the confidence in a lot of the South African batters trying different shots. Traditionally, you wouldn't often see South Africa playing off a reverse sweep or even a normal sweep or a little paddle sweep around the corner. And they really did see. We saw Lara Goodall do that a good couple of times. And I had a huge smile on my face when I saw that, because I was like, you're trying a reverse sweep to the Indian spinners on Indian wickets. So I was like, going back a couple of years, South Africa would never have the confidence to do that. And it does show that, Hilton and the coaching staff have said, we need to come out of our shells. We need to be creative. We need to be proactive when we are playing spin. So what can we do? We need to obviously work on a couple of different shots that obviously we see often in the men's game. See the ladies have confidence in playing a reverse sweep or little paddle sweep here and there, and they did it fantastically well in this ODI series.
Yeah, Boria, we heard Raman talk about how flat wickets they demanded for this series, and we also then saw a stat that this was India's. Is it to say the best on flat surfaces?
See, I would have sort of felt that had they got a little bit more purchase, that's only par for the course using home advantage. I know that you're taking the pitch out of the equation, means you're getting prepared for every kind of surface, but that's fine. I mean, it's a very thin line between, winning and trying to experiment. When you're making a comeback into international sport after 15 months, I would win. That's why, however much Michael Vaughan and his compatriots might shout about the Chennai pitch or the Ahmedabad pitch, the result is India 3-1. The result here is South Africa 4-1. You don't like such results. The shouting or the social media trolling doesn't stay. The result stays. And that is the aftertaste. That is why Claire is smiling, because she's having her mint chocolate and whatever. You and I are not. The aftertaste is one of defeat. So if WW and his people, the think tank, would have gone in with a little bit more sort of spin-friendly wickets, that's not a problem. That is not a problem. You win on, and that's why home advantage. Otherwise, go play on concrete wickets. Who's stopping you? I will prepare a concrete wicket on my terrace and go play. That's not cricket. You are going to a particular country because that particular country will challenge you with home conditions. If you say, I will take that away, then why play? So that is not perhaps yes, if you ask me, can you make sense of it? That, okay, I will prepare myself for every country. Is this the time? You are coming back after a 15-month gap. First, get the confidence back, start winning, make a statement. Indian women's cricket has lost momentum this series, Sudarshan, for whatever reason. Selection, bowlers, wickets, tracks, performance. In every sense, we have gone back. Is that the right approach? I leave it to you and the jury's out.
Yeah, let's move to the last point on this show. Catch it, drop it, stop it. Don't worry, we are not getting into rap, but Boria, I think the Indian fielders surely deserve a rap on their knuckles after their fielding show.
Yes, if you drop so many dollies, it's a bit of a strange one, but that's an infectious thing. You know what happens? When you drop one, it then becomes infectious, because then you are always conscious, if I drop a second one, if I drop a third one, and then it starts spreading. So if you have a good fielding day and you catch a good one, then everyone is like, that pressure is off. And this is very true. I mean, Bharat Arun was telling me this after the Australia tour. He was like, in Melbourne, if you see, the Australians dropped so many. It's just sort of spreads. It's like a contagion. It's like COVID. It's a contagious virus, dropping catches. And India needs to get rid of that. You need some good fielders. Yesterday also, it was a cover drive, and I don't remember who it was, dived and the ball went under. You need to take that in international cricket. And if you were able to take it, these are moments win you contests. 130 for 5, had it been the Indian batting lineup, you would have lost it, because your 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 are jack. Nadine de Klerk came and closed the game out for South Africa. That is the difference. You lost critical moments, fielding, batting, bowling. So you need to go back to the drawing board. Think chess. Chess is not move by move. It is 3 moves ahead. I think India did not play 3 moves ahead. W.V. Raman is a fantastic chess player. The Winning Sixer is a great book. So W.V. Raman needs to become W.V. Raman. Mithali Raj needs to become Mithali Raj. Put your foot down. If you're not given the team, put your foot down. Demand it. The buck stops with them. So this is a learning series. I will give them one series. If this mistake is repeated, then the chorus should grow. The chorus of criticism should grow, because this is the Indian national team they're talking about. With your permission, I will need to take leave, but I'll leave you with my final statement. My final statement is, in sport, it's winner takes all. Okay? So whatever makes you win, do that. If Women's Cricket Zone ultimately says we are a very, very good platform and we are gallant losers, means you lose 10 days out of 11. You guys don't deserve to do shows. So that is the same for international sport. And as far as I'm concerned, I've enjoyed this because it is a winning show. If we came and nobody watched us, it was nonsense. So that is not what sports should be all about. For me, this is a series where we have gone backwards. We should introspect. Everyone makes mistakes. Collectively introspect and move on. Right.
We look forward to having you back. But Claire, moving to you, the fielding that we were on, India were horrendous. In fact, the wicket keeping was also a major difference, where Sinalo Jafta was seen throwing herself left, right, and center. There was Sushma Verma, who seemed a bit rusty with her glove work. So fielding, there was a lot of difference, you see?
South Africa's fielding, they were very rusty against Pakistan. If we can remember, back, it was January the 20th or 21st, I think I might be slightly out, that the first game was. I was holding my head in hands. I was throwing things across my office. It wasn't a pretty sight. So I don't want to make excuses for the Indian side at all. I'm not going to make excuses, but I can kind of put myself in their shoes. And we were having very similar discussions going back a few weeks ago with the South African. It's that rustiness. It's the fact that you've got to concentrate for a long period of time. The girls practice. They're practicing their little millies off. But the problem is you can't always mock up those match situations where you start getting tired come the 40th over. Or the next minute there's a little fly that's buzzing around you, and now you're walking in, and now you've got to take, it's small things like that. I know there wasn't huge crowds and all that sort of thing, but there was still, people, someone waving a sign that you're getting distracted on, and then you're having to go in and take a catch. So I felt that there was quite a lot of rustiness in the Indian fielding, and that will get better. The fact that they did drop some dollies, as Boria said, and there were a couple of dollies, that is a little bit concerning. But again, I'm saying that's got to be a concentration thing. That's not a, diving for a really tough catch and you just don't make it. Those are the simple things that you want to be getting right. From a South African perspective, I was really happy. I think they did well. I think they took some fantastic catches. So some of those catches that they took weren't good catches. They were fantastic catches. And Tumi Sekukuni's catch, I think it was in the third ODI. She was, she was, I think it was at mid-off, and the ball went over her shoulder, and she had to turn and run, and now she's kept taking the ball over. But, we always say in cricket, those are one of the toughest catches to take. And I think she probably made almost 25, 30 yards in going back to get that catch. And that was one of the standout catches for me, along with Mignon Dupuis' one we saw yesterday, running in from the boundary, full length dive, getting her hands under the ball. And those are important moments. And that's South Africa starting to say to England and Australia, we are here and we are prepared to start playing with the best of you. Because that is what we did really well. There were some critical moments that we kind of turned the game in South Africa's favor by making sure we took great catches, and also sort of preventing and building a little bit of pressure by what we were doing, no quick singles and building pressure on the batting side. I was very, very happy with the South African fielding. We didn't take a step up from Pakistan, the Pakistan series. I think we took sort of 5 steps up from the Pakistan series. So the coaching staff must be really happy with the South African team. And I think the South African girls should be really proud of the performance that they put out in the field in this series in India.
I loved how you related yourself a couple of months ago to Boria's position right now, because there was Mark Foes who was, but the solace for you, if I may so say, back then was that South Africa weren't fielding pretty, but they were winning games, which is something that Boria can't enjoy.
No, that is correct. So at least I've got one up on Boria in that. At least we could come to the party with our bowling. I mean, Marizon and Shivner bowled really well, and sometimes they didn't need the fielders, so they'll just bowl them out or get an LBW. No one else has to take the catches. But at least we came away with a series when Boria and the Indian ladies didn't. So that's why I can still smile about the bad fielding in the Pakistan series.
Right, true words, and that brings us to the end of this show on the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia. Remember, the series is not yet over. 3 T20Is to be played, all-night affair. The first one, of course, is on Saturday at 7 p.m. IST, which is 3:30 in fact, 3:30 South African time. And we'll be there on this show throughout that series as well. And there's a lot coming up tomorrow as well. We'll preview those 3 T20Is on this very show. Don't forget to join us. And till then, stay safe, stay at home, wear your mask, take care.
Your lead. Don't just live life, maxify it.